Hello, everybody. Thank you so very much for clicking on. Going to do a little weekend update here and entitled Cults, Dog Whistles, and Reality. We're going to touch on all of those and more. 11 p.m., the second day of June 2024, 64 degrees outside. Couldn't ask for much better, more fitting weather for a June the 2nd evening. And June, of course, is Pride Month. We'll be touching on that as various issues come up, including in a little segment we have tonight coming up. So, with all that being said, again, thank you for clicking on. If you're watching live, greatly appreciate it. Feel free to hop in the chat. And if you're watching at your convenience, I appreciate that very much. So, thank you. Greatly appreciate it. And giving a few minutes of your time. So we will not waste any of it. Um, let's start out at the beginning, shall we? Warning signs of a cult. Here are the 6 main warning signs when considering, is an organization a cult? Now, first warning sign of a cult: the leader is always right. If you think about some of the more noteworthy cults, James Jones and the People's Temple, and David Koresh uh, at Waco, Texas. Um, so the leader is always right, and to criticize the leader or question the leader, well, that is you're now persecuting the leader, and and that gives the leader more of a Masonic, um, more of a Masonic, messianic, not Masonic, my bad, more of a messianic um, aura to the uh, fellow members of the group. Number three, anything the leader does is justified, no matter how harmful. I'm sorry, my nose is running. Um, no matter how harmful it may be. Number four, the leader is the only source of the truth. Everybody else is lying. Number five, followers must be blindly devoted to the leader and never question him. Again, that goes back to you know, if you question him, you're persecuting him. And they say it as persecution because again that feeds into the messianic um, message that many cult leaders have. Again, talking specifically or specifically mentioning David Koresh and Jim Jones, both of whom claimed to be uh, to be gods. Um, so, number six, the members won't recognize they belong to a cult. You don't know you're in a cult when you're in the cult. Is basically what that's saying. Of course, Scientology in the news at the moment on the West Coast specifically, as well as in Florida and Texas and Chicago. Um, and that is that an example of a cult? Well, a lot of people think that is indeed a prime example of what a cult is. That L. Ron Hubbard, the leader of Scientology, um, I'm sorry, I finally found a napkin. Don't have any Kleenex at the moment. Apologies if I sniffle through this. Please excuse me. L. Ron Hubbard, the founder of Scientology, um, kind of fits all these bills. He's always right. To question it is persecution. Whatever he does is justified. The leader is the only source of the truth. Everybody else is lying. He wrote everything down after he went on. Followers must be blindly devoted to the leader and never question him, and the members won't recognize they belong to a cult. Now, um, some of you watching may be saying, "Well, all right. So what you're going to say is the MAGA people are a cult," um, and I'm not going to say that. I'll ask you to consider for yourselves: does that organization fit these guidelines? Pardon me. My gosh. All right. Um, so let's get started with the Twitter scroll here before I have to cough. Um, this was under Adam Kissinger's. He reposted this. MAGA isn't the majority. They're actually only 14%. Pardon me. I'm going to say they're closer to 18%, but anyway, I touched on this the other night with Chris. MAGA isn't even close to the majority, and they're very loud, and that's just something I want you all to understand. These are just, when you look at the voting numbers, um, the amount of people that claim Republican and are not going to vote for Trump, the amount of people um, that claim Republican and say they will not vote for anybody but Trump. Um, that number is significantly lower than the total number in the Republican Party. And some members of the Republican Party, as we're going to find out in this episode, are indeed seeing the writing on the wall. And that is the reality part of tonight's episode. Before we get in, because we got a lot of kind of serious stuff, before we do that, I wanted to share this. This gentleman is asking white people, why are your edibles so strong? Let me make sure I get the volume up, and here we go. Oh, I'm sorry. Um, Not a big edibles. I haven't I haven't done the edibles. So I can't say anything about that as to why. You can comment in the chat or below if you're watching at your convenience, if you so desire. But I just found that rather amusing. The guy thinks his car's turned into a spaceship and he doesn't know how to fly. Um, Here's some reality. Trump, this came in 4 hours ago. Trump makes it explicit he wants the U.S. Supreme Court to somehow prevent his sentencing. Now, earlier today, Trump was on uh, Fox and Friends This Morning, I think is what it was called. And he said, they asked him about going to jail, and he said, oh, no big deal. I'm ready for it. Now, a few hours later, here's what he has to say. The quote unquote sentencing for not having done anything wrong will be conveniently for the fascists 4 days before the Republican National Convention. A radical left Soros backed DA who ran on a platform of quote, I will get Trump, end quote, reporting to a quote, acting, end quote, local judge um, appointed by the Democrats. He was elected actually, but let's not let facts get in the way. I haven't yet. I apologize for being forced to stop and correct at least one of these things. Um, who is highly conflicted, will make a decision which will determine the future of our nation. Question mark. The United States Supreme Court must decide. Must decide what? Um, what should they decide? And I'm assuming he is telling them this is a message to them to decide that he has um, immunity from unconditional immunity from anything and everything, which is what he has been seeking. Um, Trump has now raised a total of over $200 million since the guilty verdict was announced on Thursday evening. Uh, there are there are a ton of videos of people maxing out their credit cards, showing it online, showing them doing it, maxing out their credit cards and sending the money to him. Um, $200 million. He's got well over, I don't know how many fines he has, how many legal fees he has, how many attorney fees he has, but they're going to have to raise probably another $700 million, and then it's going to be close to $1 billion before any money goes into any kind of campaign. His campaign right now, social media, it is uh, what is called unearned media that you're not necessarily paying for. Now, it doesn't mean that they haven't paid a whole bunch of bots to promote a message, and that's where the volume is specifically online comes. Um, Remember, we're probably looking at about 18% of the actual population are these diehard MAGA, and I'm just saying, I'm not, I'm just that's just the statistics. Um, it's a significant number of people. 18% of our population. Don't get me wrong, but as far as the winning an election, they can't do that, and I think they all know that, and that's why we are hearing the talk we are hearing. What kind of talk is that? We'll get to that in just a second. I mentioned it is Pride Month. Um, this was 9 hours ago. The Free Palestine protesters came out and blocked um, the Philly Pride Parade earlier this afternoon, and it was a standoff, as you can see in the Pride Parade. Eventually moves off to the side and goes around the Palestinian protest. Ended without a conflict. Marjorie Taylor Greene is losing momentum every day because the people of Northwest Georgia want actual results over chaos and dysfunction. Imagine that. Imagine people in America, anywhere in America. I mean, come on. Everywhere across this country, people want actual results and are tired of chaos and dysfunction. Am I right? Okay, anyway, this is the guy. This is Sean Harris. And Sean is running against Marjorie Taylor Greene on the general election ballot November 5th. No primaries. These guys are going to go head to head. This is who is running against Marjorie Taylor Greene. And if you can chip in a few bucks towards his campaign and you feel like doing so, um, mess or just probably, I'm not sure how to. Yeah, this is him. Just click on him, Sean Harris, um, running for Congress against Marjorie Taylor Greene. He should have a link. Somebody, he needs some he needs some help with his political campaign strategies and anyway, I'm getting off track. Here's what he has to say. Sorry about that. Like I said, I think the guy needs some people with some political savvy. Um, if he is willing to take advice, because he's got the pedigree, retired brigadier general. That right there makes you know he has spent time as a serious individual, and sounds like he's got a good speaking voice. He needs some words. Um, and some strategies. And Marjorie Taylor Greene can be taken down. Just saying, if people are wanting to do that. Um, did you know that there are some dogs in the world that have learned to drive? I personally am not surprised. Now, this is not okay. This is the world's first driving dog. Learned to drive in just 47 days, and this isn't a gimmick. They're actually driving, and I'm going to take this out to full screen. Here we go. I love the disclaimer at the end. Yes. Whoa, 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 whoa. I love. Oh crap! I'm gonna have to play that again because I just now realized I didn't click over. Um, so here's here is what Sean Harris looks like. I hope you heard him. You may not have even heard him. Here's what the Philly Pride Parade being stopped by the Free Palestine protesters looks like. Trump raised over $200 million, and again, I read the tweet, but there's the tweet from Trump, and I'm going to play this one more time since I didn't have it on there to begin with. I got some other stuff coming up, so hang out here. We're just getting rolling along, but trying to do it as quickly as possible. Um, Sunday night weekend update. A lot of stuff has happened. All right.
Why do white people make their edibles so strong? What are you running from? Why am I tasting colors? I just wanted to go to Target. Now I gotta call somebody somebody to come get me because my car turned into a spaceship and I don't know how to fly it. I'm not an astronaut. Yo, I'm so high. Why do
Again, I don't know. I'm not so familiar with the edibles, but I don't know why they are so strong. But I would recommend. I would recommend probably chopping them up into small portions. Anyway, and here again, Trump is calling on the United States Supreme Court. Um, I think it's finally, it's sinking in, and he can put it out of his head for a while, but it's man, the thought of going to prison for a year, um, doesn't matter who you are. I would say that would be taxing on one's psyche. Um, Again, he's raised $200 million, but come on now, everybody knows they come out and said it. Everything that goes to the Republican National Committee goes into the Trump fund, first of all, to pay off any legal fees and fines, attorneys' fees, and after they get all of that accomplished, um, the money will go into a campaign. Uh, here's the here's the Free Palestine and Pride Parade. Uh, Once again, this is Sean Harris running against Marjorie Taylor Greene. I hope the audio came through. And dogs driving the car, which I found absolutely fascinating. And thus far, it has proven to be real. There's nobody that has discredited it. I haven't seen it personally happen. Um, so All right, I've got this on here because I've had a couple of people contact me through one through email, another through another source, asking about Melania. Where's Melania at? Um, and Melania has not been visible for a long time. That doesn't mean something's wrong with Melania. That means Melania is probably really honked off by what what she's had to hear. Um, Over the last 5 weeks, as every day, constantly on the news, it is being said that this is the Stormy Daniels hush money trial. That this is because um, former President Trump slept with a porn star while his wife was at home with their newborn baby, and he thought maybe that wouldn't be something people would like to hear about somebody that they might consider voting for. So there was a cover up. Now, he was not tried. He wasn't on trial for sleeping with Stormy Daniels. He was on trial for covering up that act to influence an election. Now, Melania's heard all of that. Oh man, she's known about it for a long time, 18 years now, I guess. And oh, don't expect her. And I think they might have made some kind of an agreement that for this much money, allegedly, I'm alleging this. I'm just speculating, of course. Um, she's not going to divorce him until the election's over, and in agreement for that, he keeps his hands off of Barron and probably gives her X amount of money. Um, and I think he's probably desperately doing that because if you've ever been married and fights happen and there are things that get said And I imagine once or twice she said, I'm just going to go to the feds and tell them everything. And I imagine that impacts him at some point, unless he is incredibly heavily medicated, like our gentleman was at the first. I've never seen anybody in that state just from the effects of THC or marijuana. I've never seen anybody um, on marijuana think their car was a spaceship. I think maybe the edibles had some other thing to do with it. Anyway, if you missed that, go back to the beginning, and that's how we kind of started tonight. An MIT study shows that super sharers, quote unquote, who spread 80% of the fake news on Twitter back in 2020 were actually a very small group of middle aged Republican women in primarily Arizona, Florida, and Texas. FAT. Florida, Arizona, Texas. Talked about that a lot back then and since then, especially anytime somebody says Civil War. So, again, the actual numbers are very low. And they're even lower now because he is a 34-time convicted felon. Not everybody feels that way, as we're going to find out coming up here in just a couple of minutes. But there were, this was in New York City earlier today. There was the Israeli parade. It's an annual event throughout the parade through the streets of New York City. And some areas were completely closed off to spectators or pedestrians due to security reasons. And you can see it was a pretty massive event. There were a couple of slight skirmishes, nothing significant, at least nothing that I'm aware of at this time. If I'm saying something wrong, I will come on and correct it tomorrow night, as with everything, as we always do. Alex Jones has this guy laughing. First of all, let's listen to what this gentleman has to say, because I need a drink.
Freaking hilarious. But the comments, the patriots are like, we're all crying right now. We're crying for America. Alex Jones realizes he's losing his country right now. Bro, what? Bro, your man was convicted of 34 felonies because he committed crimes. Like, what? Dude. I'm telling you guys right now, that is the funniest video I've seen in my life. Like, I'm literally just trying to have a barbecue right now, and someone sends me the video, and I'm just like, what? Like, oh my God. Like, I don't know. I don't know if it's the video or the comments that got me more weak. Like, people are literally in this dude's comments talking about, like, we want our country back. We're fighting for Trump, bro. Oh my God. He's a criminal. Understand something. Donald Trump is a lifelong criminal. Like, he's just been getting away with shit because he was a rich dude who literally just typically has favor, right? But then he decided, you know what? I have so much of an ego, I'm going to go ahead and run for president. And even though now I'm like the most popular person in the world, I'm probably still not going to be held accountable. Then he is, because he has committed crimes like so many. And you suckers are out here like, literally, like, I've seen people post videos about how, like, they're maxing out their credit cards to donate money to him. Like, you guys been whining about gas prices and grocery prices now for 3 years, and you're maxing out credit cards for the dude. That's not the flex you think it is, people. Oh my gosh. But seriously, Alex Jones crying, that just made my day. Like, there's not a beer in the world that I could enjoy more than that video that I just saw. I hope you guys are having a good day, but I hope this video made your day better. Period.
Okay, so some of you are wondering, what is the Alex Jones video? Here we go. Hang on a second. Let's get him back here to the beginning. Now, this gentleman thinks Alex Jones is a national hero. And the previous video we just saw said Alex Jones is crying because of the country. Now, what Alex Jones is really crying about is because he talked about the parents of the kids that were murdered in the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting. He said those parents were liars, that they were crisis actors, and he did this to these people for years. Well, they all sued him and they won, and he owes like $1.5 billion. So he said, I'm just going to file bankruptcy, said this on tape. I'm just going to file bankruptcy and I'll never pay a dime. Well, it is specifically written into the settlement that ain't going to work. If you choose to do that, we're going to seize all your assets. So they notified him evidently that this is allegedly coming, that they're going to take his assets and sell them and pay off part of his legal fee. What he has is not going to be, he's still got money because they sell things on here on InfoWars, and he's got money, but he doesn't have $1.5 billion kind of money. And I just think that he's panicking because he knows it's coming, it's closing in on him. You can even see the way he's got his hands up there. He's going to lose everything he has because of what he put other people through that had lost their kids in a school shooting. And that's the premise behind this.
At the end of the day, we're going to beat these people. I'm not trying to be dramatic here, but it's been a hard fight. These people hate our children.
I don't even know his children. I don't hate his children. I don't hate anybody's children. I don't know who he's thinking these people are, but apologies for the interruption. Here we go.
Just take more calls. Go ahead. Do the next person. At the end of the day,
I think that was some kind of demonic thing he said there at the end.
Beat these people. I'm not trying to be dramatic here, but it's been a hard fight. These people hate our children. Just take more calls. Go ahead. Do the next person. At the end of the
Again, I'm not sure exactly what that was, but anyway, that's what's going on with Alex Jones. And hold on, how did we get here? Oh, okay, there we go. This is back where I want to be. I don't want this. I want this off. And let's get back down here. Pardon me for scrolling so fast. We're getting back down to where we get to be. Where I'm so much behind my goal of where how long I wanted this to be. I've talked way too much, but we are getting near the end. Trump says he supports climate change and rising sea levels because, again, this is on Fox and Friends, FNF, Fox and Friends, The Weekend TV, and this is an exclusive sit down. Trump says he supports climate change. He's all for climate change and he's for rising sea levels because it, quote, means basically you have a little more beachfront property. Okay. I don't tell you what to think or how to think normally. I just give you things to think about. Think about that one for a second. Trump on possible house arrest or jail time, he says, I'm not sure that the public would stand for it. I think it would be tough for the public to take. At a certain point, there's a breaking point. Now, again, he's talking like everybody in the country is behind him, believes in him, supports him, and will back anything and everything he does. And a lot of people would, because the leader's always right. Criticism of the leader is questioning anything the leader does is justified, no matter how harmful it is or how many felonies he may have. The leader is the only source of truth. Everybody else is lying. So let's jump down here to number 6. The members won't recognize they belong to a cult. See, it doesn't do any good to try to talk to the MAGA people rationally. And it's not because they're stupid. They're not stupid. It's because they don't understand they're in a cult. And if you're a right-leaning person and you don't think Donald Trump has ever done anything wrong, or if you think somebody talking badly about Donald Trump about anything, careful. You might be in a cult. Let's get back here where we were. I'm not sure how the public would stand for it. I think it would be tough for the public to take. At a certain point, there's a breaking point. Okay, this is the dog whistle, one of the dog whistles I was talking about. And Chris and I have been discussing over the past week or so, if in order for something to happen, there needs to be a significant event, a Fort Sumter event, if you will, that led to the actual engagement in the first Civil War, calling it the first Civil War reluctantly, but out of necessity in case there is a second Civil War. Now, again, there's not a significant number when it comes to voting. When it comes to chaos, dysfunction, and an attempted overthrow of the government, to be honest with you, in world history, it has happened with much less than between 15 and 20% of a population. So do not discount it. Don't make fun of it. Understand that it is a distinct possibility, and at best, try to ration with anyone you know who has a battle fantasy. I don't know about women, but guys, when guys' minds are wandering and they're fantasizing about things, they're fantasizing about maybe the perfect golf shot, or some kind of car, or catching a bass, or I am playing music, or whatever it may be. Now, some of the people that are MAGA have a battle fantasy. They think that they see themselves going on the battlefield heroically, giving their life for Trump without understanding what that might mean. And I've got a little humorous thing coming up here that I'm kind of foreshadowing. So let's move along. This is Sheriff. Let's get this right. This is Sheriff Chad Bianco of the Riverside County, California Sheriff's Department. He's the sheriff, and he is also an oath keeper. And he says, quote, he is changing teams and quote, all in. And at this is just, he says it's time we put a felon in the White House. If any of the scenarios Mike Flynn is planning to disrupt the election play out, let me just say that in radio, the old saying was, if one person called in to complain or compliment, it meant there were at least 1,000 other people that felt the same way. So this guy isn't saying what he's about to say. He's not saying this to a deputy on his force. He's not saying this to a friend at a bar. He is saying this to the entire country.
I got to be honest. I'm getting tired. And I'm wondering if I'm having a change of heart and deciding that, you know what, maybe I've been wrong. And I think I'm going to change teams. I know it's going to make some of you angry. I know that you're going to be mad at me, but I'm going to change teams. I think they're onto something, but I don't think they're doing enough. I think that we need to go big. You know me, go big or go home. You're the biggest, you do the best, you're the best at everything, and you might as well do something right if you're going to do it. And I'm all in. And I hope that you're all with me. I hope that you all have this change of heart. You all feel that this is definitely the right thing to do, and you come alongside me in this venture. And I think it's time that instead of letting them out of jail and giving them alcohol and drugs and everything else, I think it's time we put a felon in the White House. Trump 2024, baby. Let's save this country and make America great again.
Trump ally Marjorie Taylor Greene says, quote, I know a ton of white people that are as lazy and sorry and probably worse than black people I know. I want to make sure we're still connected. We are. I'll get over here to the chat before too long and say hello and see if there are any questions or anything. But in the meantime, let's listen to what a fellow member of Congress described as what was it? Bleached, blonde, bad built butch body or something like that.
We'll continue on. He says, likewise, despite centuries of exclusion and robust evidence of continuing racism, minority underemployment is often couched in the language of bad choices and personal responsibility. I got to tell you, anybody's unemployment has to do with bad choices and personal responsibility. And again, that does not have a skin color. I know a ton of white people that are as lazy and sorry and probably worse than black people I know. And
okay, so the black people she knows are at a certain level, and some of the white people she knows are even down there at that level. Sometimes the messaging these people get away with, the rhetoric is just, it's beyond me. It kind of got lost in everything, but on Friday, President Biden gave some remarks, and he said the first part of the remarks talking about the Donald Trump being found guilty on 34 felony criminal charges. That statement caught all the attention, and the second part of the statement people didn't pay a whole lot of attention to, but he laid out a plan that he said Israel had come up with, and that there was going to be a ceasefire very soon, and that within 6 weeks the ceasefire would be permanent, and it was a two-state solution. Shortly thereafter, Netanyahu said no, that's not going to happen. We talked about it on here. Netanyahu cannot let the war end because he faces charges in his own country as well as international criminal court charges. And the people that are protesting in Tel Aviv have a massive banner that says Biden save them meaning the hostages. Biden save them from Netanyahu. So I show this just to again kind of tie back to what we've been talking about here before the Trump verdict came out, and that was the 5 fronts the United States could find itself involved in militarily very soon, and one of those fronts being what is going on now, right there in the heart of the Middle East, in Rafah, Gaza. The last tiny little section is currently getting blasted away. I mentioned that had something for people to think about here. Those that want a civil war, you know, aren't you happier watching NASCAR on a Sunday or playing a round of golf than you would be getting your brains blown out? I mean, come on. All right, let's listen in.
Argument's completely right. So the conservative argument is that guns are written in the Constitution because the founding fathers thought if all the citizens have guns, the government will have to do what they say, or else the people will rise up and fight the government, right? Which is a legitimately great idea in the 1700s. But the problem is there's still people now hoarding weapons, thinking that at some point they may need to take on the American military, and they think they have a shot, right? And look, maybe they're right, which is why I'm proposing we test their theory and once a year have a head-to-head showdown. Say 100 members of the NRA versus, I don't know, 2 members of the military. Broadcasted on Fox Christmas Day. Like, Merry Christmas and welcome to the 2022 NRA Military Showdown. Let's go down to the field of battle, meet one of our NRA combatants. Sir, what's your name? What kind of weapon do you work with? And he's like, my name's Andy Baker, and I got an AR-15 wearing Kevlar head to toe. Andy, how confident are you, scale of 1 to 10? Fucking a million. We're gonna check in with the military real quick, and they cut to one guy by himself in a bunker, and he's like, my name's Staff Sergeant Jeremiah Walker. And they're like, Jeremiah, what kind of weapon do you work with? And he's like, look, I don't know if this is fair, but I'm working with a drone. Yeah, it's equipped with 8 Hellfire missiles and a high-powered camera. As you can see on this monitor here, the NRA fellas are actually in just one big cluster. So, I'm gonna. We started, all right. Yeah, so I'm gonna hit this button right here. Yeah, now they're all dead. That'll do it for this.
Oh, I'm laughing because of the absurdity of civil war, not at the thought of actually people perishing. Speaking of civil war, a reporter talked to some of the MAGA people at a recent Trump rally, I believe in Pennsylvania. And here's what they had to say.
What was the cause of the Civil War, the U.S. Civil War in the 1800s?
What was the cause of the Civil War?
What do you think the cause of the Civil War was?
I don't know.
What would you say is the cause of the Civil War?
The Civil War? What caused the Civil War?
And then we had a Civil War. What do you think caused our Civil War?
Sin, I suppose. Yeah.
And what do you think, sir, was the cause of the United States Civil War?
Of the Civil War? Well, let's see. The North and South, they couldn't get along.
What do you think is the cause of the Civil War, the U.S. Civil War?
I had a black man at my door the other day. I don't have an issue with race.
What about the Civil War in the 1800s? What do you think was the cause of that?
Oh, yeah.
What do you think caused the Civil War?
It's probably the division of states and the people.
Over what?
Well, right now they're trying to take the people's right to vote away.
It's the George Floyd thing. That was all set up too.
How was that set up?
That police officer didn't have his knee on the neck.
Did you see the video?
No.
Oh, there we go. There's our sign. Here's your sign. I said that some in the Republican Party are already understanding that, you know, it's one thing to win in a primary election, especially when you're primarily uncontested. It's a totally different thing to win in a general. And the Democrats were not motivated in most states to come out into the primaries. So the numbers are the numbers are lower than they are Republican numbers in most state primaries. Don't just understand that it was due to a lack of motivation in the primaries. In the general, things are different. And in the general, both bases are normally energized. And it's determined by the middle. But this time, one of the bases is frantic. And when John Bolton, I think Bolton was Trump's national security advisor, he says the party needs to dump Trump at the convention. Senator Lisa Murkowski also came out and said Biden's policies have hurt Alaska, blah, blah, blah. But that is all. The focus is not on anything Biden is doing. The focus is all on Trump's legal drama. A Republican nominee without this baggage would have a clear path to victory. And I've said that on here repeatedly. The only person Joe Biden can beat is Donald Trump. Again, the leader is always right. Criticism of the leader is considered persecution. Anything the leader does is justified. The leader is the only source of truth. Followers must be blindly devoted, and people do not realize they're in the cult. So you got to have a little bit of compassion if you're trying to ever reach somebody that is deep in this cult. Again, don't think they're stupid. Don't think, and that's a first reaction to go, how stupid could these people be? Well, it's been through programming they weren't even aware of by these things called bots, that I'm going to talk about in tomorrow night's episode. I got one more little video here to play. This man has a message for what he calls the feckless far right MAGA fascists. As I said, don't talk to him like that. Just say, it's best to ignore them, because they tend to start fighting with each other if everybody's ignoring them. I know there are trolls, and trolls can't ignore things like this, but that really is the best way to counter it, is to keep their we want a felon, we want a felon, keep those kind of chants in their echo chamber. So here's one man's opinion on all the talk about Civil War.
Oh, the chowderheads are in their feelings today, man. I saw fucking one lady actually cry. Look at this. She's crying.
All right, so I'm not taking this conviction very well, as you could tell. You got convicted on all charges. And
so now, of course, over on X, Civil War is trending left and right. People talking Civil War, Civil War. When it comes to the Civil War, I believe it was President Grant who said it best.
It was. We talked about it on here before.
Our national existence. I predict the dividing line will not be Mason and Dixon's, but between patriotism, intelligence on the one side, and superstition, ambition, and ignorance on the other. And for you people that might come across this, no, you are not the side of the patriots. Just to be clear. And one last thing, when it comes to the Civil War shit, shut the fuck up. You're not gonna do fucking shit. Maybe there's one or two you fucking psychos out there, Timothy McVeigh or something, but for the most part, even though you complain every day about how expensive fucking eggs are, you're too fucking comfortable to sacrifice anything. You guys barely fucking take the stairs. You're not going to fucking do shit. You're just going to sit there and whine like a bitch and have your revenge fantasy. And that's all it is a fantasy because you're too fucking soft. So stop with the Civil War shit. It's embarrassing. You're not.
I don't necessarily know they're too soft. I think it might be they don't have a full understanding of what a Civil War would actually be.
A patriot, very un-American, and it's a bit cunty. So, good talk.
I heard a female voice. That was weird. I don't know if that came across the microphone or not, but I heard a female voice from somewhere just now. Anyway, if I see any account saying we need to replace President Trump with another candidate at the RNC convention, I will unfollow you. All right. I'm telling you, the actual Republicans, especially down ballot, they're like, look, this dude is an anchor. This dude is an anchor. And it doesn't matter how he performs in a primary when it comes to the general, we're liable to all lose. That's what Republicans are saying. Even they're not saying it publicly, but obviously they're saying it, or Marge wouldn't have to come out and say, hey, threaten to unfollow you if you talk about this. So they're talking about it. Why? Well, because it's a problem. That's the reality. Here's the dog whistle. Okay. If I see any account saying we need to replace Trump, because there are a whole bunch of people saying we need to replace Trump. You're not seeing it again in public. Why are they saying that? Here's our final story of the night. A new Morning Consult poll yesterday showed that 49% of independents and 15% of Republicans believe Trump should end his campaign because of his conviction. Not that they're not going to vote for him. I think that's pretty much cut and dry. They say he should end his campaign because of recent convictions. Why would they say that? Why would 49% of independents care? Because they want a choice. They want another choice to vote for. It's pretty simple. 15% of Republicans, they want another choice. They don't think it ought to be this guy. Now, the 15% of the Republicans and the 49% of the independents, again, significant numbers. In addition, 54% of registered voters approve of the guilty verdict compared to just 34% who disapprove. Again, the volume, the amount of loudness and vitriol and hatred and threats is not equated to the actual numbers when it comes to November the 5th, as it stands now. Okay. Don't be surprised if you don't hear a stand back, stand by thing to the Proud Boys before long, because they are getting desperate. And and unless he is such a yes man, which could be, that nobody on his political staff is actually telling him, hey, um, you're not going to be able to just bully your way in. Legally. All right. Thank you so much for clicking on them. Hop over here to the chat and say hello to Nancy McMonarch. Hey Fred, VG, hello. Linda Lou, thank you for being here. Pat Tolliver, always be kind. Thank you all. Let's see. I take them for medical. These folks must be eating too many. Yes, the edibles. I just couldn't believe that. I don't know. Yeah, I would say too many edibles. Maybe you would get there to your car turns into a spaceship. Yeah, just because you know something does not mean you want to hear about it, and does not mean once it comes to light that it will not piss you off all over again. Totally agree with that, Fred. Totally agree with that. That's why being confrontational, with MAGA people is, it just feeds into their whole aura now. So don't feed into that. Ignore it as much as possible. And I mean, I'm not, don't mistreat them. Don't scream at them. I've been saying I'm going to say this just about every episode, so I'll go ahead and say it now. Too often we stand and scream at each other, and at some point, in order to survive, not thrive, but in order the time for thriving is over, and people that think they're thriving now are rapidly going to find out very soon that that we've been conned on a massive scale. But that's a totally different story. Time to prep up. I think something big is going to happen. Yeah, especially around the election. Totally agree, VG. Totally agree. Even if it doesn't happen on a national level, the amount of the potential for electrical disruptions on the grid, the potential for, again, June 6th is coming up, 6/6/24. There are those in numerology that if you believe in the possibility of some kind of government, some kind of non-government, the 13 powerful families, again, it's too late to get into all this. I'm already way past the time I was shooting for. But there are those that some allege are trying to control the world, that numerology is important, and this would be a 666 type day event. And I kind of offhand remarked that, that don't be surprised if somebody uses a direct energy weapon on us and we get a massive earthquake on the West Coast, or the New Madrid fault, or the East Coast, or all three. And today there was a small earthquake in California. I think it was a 3.5, but I believe that was due to a natural shift. Anyway, Netanyahu is going to tell Biden what he wants to hear, then turn around and do whatever the hell he wants. That sure seems that way. Definitely seems that way. Yeah, my email is American Doofus, AMERICANDUFUS @gmail.com. And if you want to help support the show, it's American Doofus, all one word, at $ American Doofus on Cash App. That's the best way to do it. Atlanta water breaks. Coincidental. More than one location. Thank you, mister, for putting that up there. I was not aware of that. I'm going to hop off here and I will look into seeing what's going on. It's a possibility. If it's more than one location, I would say that is extraordinarily coincidental when dealing with city water. But we will find out. Again, thank you all for being here. Thanks for clicking on. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. If you do subscribe, hit that bell for notifications so you'll know when we're on. And leave a comment if you so desire. If you're watching at your leisure, leave a comment down below. Thank you all for being here. We will be back tomorrow night, 11 p.m. again, and talking about what's going on. It's a dark world. Do try to be a light. Love y'all like chocolate chip cookies. We'll see you tomorrow night.